Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here, and I know this is supposed to be a fast playthrough, but various things have been getting me distracted, and I have not been playing as much as I'd hoped. But we are still trying to get through this quickly. I thought we would have long before now. We are in April 1937. Okay, destroyer classes have advanced. It may be grayed out. Yes, okay, well, now we can do warship, small warship armament. It looks like we can do even more than that. Also do the engine. There we go. Great purges begin. The fell static advanced. And Morgan Freeman. Don't know why they got in there early on with Morgan Freeman and has stayed around with his birthday thing. You even see it in Black Ice too. Nothing wrong with it, it just, why? They particularly like a movie he was in. Like he's a great voice actor or whatever, announcer, however you want to say that. Here we are. So if you get him to narrate things, man, if he was going to narrate my videos, I'm sure they'd be a lot more popular. Okay, these. Okay, all the 37s there. Fighter pilot training, that sounds like fun. We're adding a lot. I've been seeing them all pop up along with the air bases, but a lot of factories have just hit and come online. We got another one coming up on the one day from now, so that will take a little while for them to I think one just popped up in here. No, oh, well, here, see, it's still red, so it's not even like 1% fully effective yet, so they'll kick in here and boost our production. Okay, let's look like over here, I think. Over here. There. And somebody stole some more blueprints. Okay, Hindenburg disaster. Yes, will allow foreign investment. So this, some of the mod workers over in Hearts of Iron 4 Black Ice seem to think Germany did not like or allow foreign investment. I mean, they had a major Ford plant, Ford Deutsches Erzog, or whatever you pronounce that. You know, that's a foreign-owned company. I don't believe there was local ownership stakes in it. There may have been, I don't know. Okay, now, oh yeah, I'm not going to go into much on this, but yeah, we'll go with better. We get an industrial capacity. More Mercedes staff cars. Okay, doing that. Let's look at air here, I guess. We can go with cast pilot training. We'll also do ground for coming up as well. I dig those 6-wheeled armored cars, or not armored, staff cars. Really cool. Oh, way over expensive and cost to build, and a waste of energy to build them, but still cool. Depth charge advanced for light forces, which are mostly what you use depth charges. Okay. Some rare times they were put on some heavier. Well, some light cruisers had some. Yeah, I'll go back here, and yeah, partially I'm just noticing these will train quicker than these, so I'm doing some of these training first. Might as well. Is it okay? 160 kilometer ride. Okay. Again, we don't want to have this open because the rare times it can pop up and crash it. And that doesn't. We're not sure what causes these to go negative or to 0. Or even if somebody might have a decent guess, a good way to code it, at least the last one I was checking. Okay. Heavy armor forging advance. Okay, that is oh, that's up industry, I think. Yes. There we go. That is electro welding, steel casting even, but electro welding was something that Germany excelled on. I don't know that they were mountain infantry activation. We can do that right now. That they were the best in the world. And part of it is not that they couldn't weld in other countries, but be able to weld really thick things together all the way through, and a lot of that kind of stuff for dealing with armor as opposed to just tack welding or whatever, a few pieces of metal together. Okay, another one of these. There we go. Let's look around here because we just spotted the mountain infantry activation. Is there another good one like that? And so Germany was very advanced on that. That other nations really were having a tough time catching up with. I think maybe the US was about there, and I don't know. I want to say Britain, but I'm not absolutely sure. Okay, we're going to maybe do a little of those eventually, but let's come over here to later ground training. And then forging. I think we still use some of the German forges from World War II in the US, and they're the only ones in operation to this day that the US brought home from World War II. Okay. And so there's some of that stuff that just has not been replicated since then. It's just super expensive, and nobody has wanted to pay the investment cost. And the reason the Germans did is because of the government investment. Oh, we want to make sure we don't have this rolling, but I want to look here. Okay, most of these are going to be pulling through some more. We don't want to go too big on this because, well, we're getting good, but we've got a lot of things. Oh shit. Okay, up to the top. Oh, that's from the new air base in the back, right? Okay, and screws, right? Yes, screws for ships here. Okay. What's medium armored designs? Well, let's do heavy armor designs. Armored support choices, right. Okay. Not that this really matters, but let's just quickly go through this. Yeah, we'll do armored engineers. Recon. Let's do assault guns. Yeah, let's do artillery, I guess. I'm not really sure whether assault guns were sort of meant to represent mobile artillery or anti-tank guns more. Okay. Good. I've got a lot of negatives going. Infiltration tactics. Here, 1932. Okay, let that roll. Stormtrooper tactics. Okay, that's grayed out. We can do armored spearhead. And small warship fire control computer. Right out. Let's look at some of the other damage control. Fire control computer. There we go. Those are, I think, generally mechanical computers that you punch in certain information, like your speed and course, and you punch in what you think the enemy's speed and course is, and it calculates. It adjusts the aim of the gun and those type of things, I believe, is what those computers were doing. They also had similar things for submarines and the torpedoes. Okay, Soviet Union. Like money for oil. No, we're still trying to build ours up. Money up. It's not huge, but not low, so we're gonna. And we have sort of enough oil. Sort of the balance. Okay, Air Force HQs. Advanced. I think we will stop that for now. Still submarine class. Grayed out. Twin or gun position, twin engine airplane advance. Okay. Well, I guess we can let that continue. We'll put on that, which is a 35. Okay, yeah, that. Oh well, I'll pause. We can throw on just a tiny bit more. Effective use, so we might as well. Spain, yes, you may have fuel. And more HQs for the Air Force. Yes, you can have fuel. Training advance. There's superiority tactics. Let's save this. Just doing safety saves. How goes the Spanish Civil War? Going pretty well for the nationalists. Well, I guess this hasn't really kicked off yet. Somebody's stealing your blueprints. And no, we'll just take whatever you have in reserve when we occupy your nation. Why we're still doing that either right now. Okay, so that's... We'll just more efficiently do some other useful things like ground attack tactics. That's a lot of organization improvement for, particularly looking at the heavy transport, so I guess we'll do that. Good. Artillery, not rocket artillery. A lot of air bases. Saw someone post on Twitter. There's some good Twitter historians that do short form good history. There's a few that are that represent things like the British Tank Museum or like a Swiss Tank Museum I follow on Twitter. So there's some really good stuff like that if you guys are interested in that. Now Twitter is a cesspool, so I understand why people don't want to go there. It is also that. But someone who's involved, I guess, in battlefield tours in France posted, look at these photos of World War I equipment used during World War II in France on the coastline with, the MG08. And I go, that's not an MG08. I don't know these people. Medium velocity gun advanced. Because I immediately recognized it as a Browning, basically a model 1917, though I did notice it didn't look quite right. So, and since it was being used by the Germans in France there, the Browning 1917 is the one with the water jacket. I figured that's probably the Polish made copy. Poland copied the gun and made them in the German caliber, so that was very convenient for the Germans. They got a bunch of them. And then did a quick photo comparison. Yep, absolutely, because there are detailed differences in the person. Well, they share a lot of similarities. Said, yeah, they both have water jackets. Basically nothing else. I mean, they both have water jackets. They're both machine guns. They're belt fed, same caliber. But after about that, almost every single thing is different on them. It's like, hey, they're all machine guns. Yeah. About as similar as a Sherman with a Panzer IV. Yeah, they both have turrets. Both have a 75 millimeter gun on them. Can't shoot the same ammunition, though MG08 and that one could. No. So it's, why am I here? I'm supposed to be over here. So yeah, they both have tracks. Both have tank armor, but a Sherman and a Panzer IV are otherwise completely different. I guess, I read of the British putting, I know they did some French 75 ammo. I don't know if they did any German ammo stuck on this stuff. Okay, infantry unit training advance. No, that's not what I want to do. Okay, it's there, 38. That's the one I want to uncheck. And I guess we can also uncheck these armor ones too. Maybe they popped up and just didn't, or just now even. Try to be the most efficient. Research. Okay. We want to get that. We want to get that. Those are okay. Spotting and cruiser crew training. That will help. Cruiser crew training. And we still have some more. Destroyer crew training. 56. Okay, that. I'm probably being a bit hard on them. Mountain. Infantry we can now build. That was this activation. Any other equipment or not that we want to based off of that now, I guess not. Well, I guess special forces. I want to get that going in, mountain unit training. But let me give it a no. Bulgaria. Yes. One, we are probably inching up towards our current capabilities, but we can grab up the Belgian stuff when we later do it, but we're probably not planning on invading Bulgaria, and we want them to be friends. So, okay, mobile unit training. Management controller. Okay, here, yes, there. No, we want to come back here. Yes, there we are. But when someone who wants to try to look, here's World War I equipment being used in World War II. Here's examples of them. Okay. You know, I was saying, starting to say, yeah, I'm being really picky, but then I'm thinking, yeah, here's a picture of a German Panzer IV, and it's a Sherman. Yeah, they're, like I say, similar tanks, both 75mm guns. Otherwise, they're nothing alike. And so I gotta put it in that context. Give them money for crude oil. Okay, no. Fine. And so if you're trying to support arguments over that, had a really nice thread with somebody who was asking about, some author was asking about, a historical author, the essay and being armed. Infantry unit command and control. And so I sort of explained to him that they were armed, because he was saying that he doesn't see any pictures of them. And I said they did not, march around the streets armed. They didn't do their, big rallies armed, but they did arms training. And I showed examples, some from the Third Reich events, stuff of them, like a book on how to throw the grenade, but you also see them laying, out in front of the trench or whatever you want to call it, that they're throwing a grenade from, with rifles there. And then I showed the picture. Definitely, I would say after, though I didn't have exact date on it, after the Germans take, or the Nazis take power of Germany, take power in Germany, the two SA men standing out in front of some facility, each armed with a rifle. So they thought whatever they were guarding needed to be armed guards. And then a couple of other pictures of the SA training, marksmanship training, shooting. So that, to back up my evidence that yes, they were armed. And my understanding is a lot of the time, most of the rifles were kept in more government or military arsenals and were checked out by the SA and returned. And I also said that one of the important factors was, especially like the Night of the Long Knives, to get the army support of Hitler was, they killed Rome and a lot of the leaders, but the army was worried that the SA would replace it. And so you don't want to have a bunch of SA men marching around Germany all the time carrying rifles. That starts making them look like the army, and you're starting to make the army nervous. So you don't want that to be the general sort of look of the SA. But yeah, they had guns. They had either had access to lots of guns, and by 36, 37, they were well training with them, as a one of their main function was to train not just SA men, but train people to who were going to be going into the army in, skills that were military style skills. Not all of them with guns, but they definitely had that, and that was a major function of the essays. I know we've talked about. But the author was really asking for, information. And so that, I felt I needed to support my claims with period evidence, photos. Properly identified that they're SA and not SS, and the time period. Okay, fighter pilot training advanced, that would be over here. And so when I do things like that, I take it seriously. It's not a book I'm writing, not even technically an article, but I sort of take it serious like that. Okay, we don't need that much in supplies. We do still want to overproduce. We're going through a lot of those, getting some of the one-offs, and getting into some of the other production. When we hit 38 or something, I'll add some more factories into production. I just don't want to expand too fast. Mountain unit training, I think we can continue that. Yeah, just 37. Okay, now I'm running out of money. Now let's mention that. Let's see, maybe I should have said yes, but do we have, say, the Soviet Union? They've got money, they might be willing to buy supplies, and the US. There's a little bit of money. Okay, 14. Oh. There we go. We're getting very close to rare material. Capacity. So yeah, I should have taken that Finnish deal after hitting the Soviets. Here we go. Start of the Chinese war. We have low popularity for some reason, not sure why. Putting manpower to the pool. Air base is number 5. Now we're back to medium popularity. Good. Yes, you may have fuel. Lots of fuel. Artillery unit training. And what is that? Defensive position. Okay. Here we go. Light cruiser crew training. Battleship crew training. And we make our commanders make better decisions. Race in America. Yay. Pushback memorandum. And this is part of the development we get. Look at all those. Don't worry about the lose. It's you gain the 3 there and other armaments factories and whatnot. So it does cost you, but you gain a bunch. Portugal, money for rare materials. Yeah. Oh, hold on here. Okay, yeah, we're paused. Good. Yeah. We want the motorized infantry division ahead of those other things. That in production. That's looking good. We're both expanding production and producing aircraft and ground units and things. Yeah, some of these I just don't know if I'm going to push this. We're definitely already doing some development here. Oh, good, we can do armored HQs and mountain HQs. More industrial plant manufacturing setups, yay. That's all part of my version of the 4-year plan stuff, where the Black Ice people just do a yearly thing. Artillery unit combined arms advance. I'm not sure, I've never gone in and done the math as to which gives you more benefits for costs. Though mine is more immersive in that there is more, information to the events. So just on that level, I like it better. Doesn't necessarily mean it's better, but I just like it better. And just because it's more immersive doesn't necessarily mean it's more historical. Like money exchange for rare materials, no. Because, or more historically correct, because I could be misjudging how much benefit you should get. Yes, fuel. Okay, yeah, money. Again, economies aren't a zero-sum thing. All the expansion isn't purely because of government planned and organized expansion, especially in National Socialist Germany. It's rather much, yeah, it's not a free market, that's for sure. I think of their plan to restrict the different types of motorcycles, cars, and trucks. It went from like, I don't know, I'm just going to throw out numbers. So we're pause. 300 or some different types of motorcycles being produced. I don't mean variations to a type, but like different engines and different, major components to it, down to like, I don't know, 50 different types were allowed. They legally went in and said, fewer types of motorcycles. So you still had ZPUDs and BMW and whoever else making motorcycles, and different designs, and the parts weren't compatible. And I'm not talking, because obviously, not obviously things like paint color can change. And other minor elements for like trucks and motorcycles could change, but they wanted to keep the basic automotive parts that were, to just a few different model types. And so they reduce all the particularly trucks and motorcycles, but also cars, reduce it down. So like in cars back then, much more than so today, I mean, you could buy like from Ford or a lot of these other major manufacturers, just sort of the front end of the car, or even just the bare bones, the frame, the engine, the transmission, and steering wheel and all that. And you could theoretically put like some sort of jury rig seat on that and drive the car. It was fully drivable, had a gas tank and all this stuff. But they would buy them in custom coach shops. They're coach shops, if you still exist, and they would then take those and then produce one-off cars. And that kind of stuff would be fine within the German program, because they weren't worried about a few luxury cars being produced for the rare few people. But the idea was a distributor or a radiator or whatever could just be swapped out between all these sort of different variations. And you can see that more like in trucks, for like different styles of delivery trucks that you could have custom built for your company. Working in a city, you need 20 of whatever trucks. They were worried about whether those trucks would be taken up for military use or just continued use during the time of war, even for their civilian application, that they'd only be, a few types of stuff in production. So they would do that. So there was definite controls over it, the economy and development in Nazi Germany. But there was not, beyond that, especially at this time, before the war, there's not a lot more control than that. It was the government's ordering X number, 1,000 trucks, 10,000 trucks. That would be a huge number for pre-war order. But they were ordering things like those, sure. But beyond that, it's a rather market economy going on in Germany at this time. Heavy armored designs have advanced. And there was, although we mentioned earlier, encouraging foreign investment, there was still massive controls on moving money out. So they wouldn't want, I'm not sure whether they allowed it or not, but they wouldn't want, say, Ford to exchange the Reichsmarks for dollars and move that money to America, because Germany has massive foreign exchange problems. But they would encourage Ford to go, oh yeah, you've made a lot of money in Germany. Yeah, spend that money in Germany. You know, could be building a new factory, or it could be, I don't know, buying a bunch of degenerate art. We saw the event that I didn't comment on earlier, or something like that, and take the paintings out, because who cares about the paintings? And there was a bit of a market going on that they were the ones that they were confiscating that was considered valuable. They were often selling outside of the German market. And so, yeah, you know, if Ford or somebody else wants those paintings, sure, you know, take Reichsmarks for them, and yeah, paintings can leave, fine. Have a nice day. Well, we're going to end this episode here. I want to thank you so much for watching, of course, liking and subscribing and commenting below. See you next time for more, yes, even more Hearts of Iron.